Hello, mate. Hope you're keeping reasonably well, mate, and things are looking up. Not really an awful lot to tell you this month, honestly, apart from thanking you very much for the magazines. They're quite interesting, aren't they? It's quite fascinating that digital radio everywhere seems to be something that's going to be done one day. You know, it doesn't seem to be all that live. A lot of interesting stuff about microphones in there too, and mixing kit. I just invested myself in a MiniDisc, Sony MiniDisc recorder. Thought it was about time I found out a bit about it and how to use it, because I don't know, I guess in 5 or 6 years' time we may see the final disappearance of cassette players and things, and at that time we may very well have something serious that we have to do, and I think it's not a bad idea to know a bit about the technology. So I went mad and invested. I was quite impressed in many ways that it's got a few good and bad things about it. The kit itself is absolutely tiny. It's only about half the physical size of the D6C in top area, and much thinner. It's only about the size of an old-fashioned cigarette case almost, or a double cassette box, that sort of size. Very lightweight. Inevitably, because of that, rather fiddly controls. It's got a remote attached to earphones with the ability to use remote switches. I have some doubts about. Well, I haven't bothered with that at all, and I've only had it a little while, so I haven't done very much with it. But the thing about it is, it's got something like an 8-second memory while recording, so that it'll pick up jig and joggle. I tried it out by just sticking it in my pocket without any particular bother, and going for a walk and clambering over a couple of stiles and things, and I didn't actually jump anywhere, but sort of reasonable stuff like that, and checked it back, and there was no dropout at all. So certainly the disc recording seems to be quite robust. The other thing that it's got is in-house editing. Now, there's a problem with that in one sense, in that it's once and for all editing. If you've deleted something, you can't get it back. So I guess if I use that, I shall copy down to tape first, and then go back to edit on the principle that if the worst comes to the worst, I can backload it back up. The editing is very much computer style, in that you play back and you find the point at which you want to edit and mark that point, then you mark the end of the bit you want to cut out. Since it really operates like a CD, what it then does is to name that bit that you've put down as a separate track, and then you delete that track, and the bits on either side come together. It's the little bit I've done with it. It seems to work quite well. I don't think it's got all that much over the top of doing the same thing with tape, but I suppose it's close really to reel editing. The thing I'd really like to do, and I really haven't got around to doing it, but is to get some of this editing software for my PC, because I saw some of that demonstrated at the Tannock show, and I was quite impressed. It's waveform editing. I don't know if I said this to you last time, but you've got the visual version of the audio appears on the screen as a waveform. And what you actually do then is it takes the bottom half of the screen, you copy that up to the top half of the screen, and then do all your editing, which enables you to cut things out, of course, as I said before, or paste. And if you've got something you want to move from one part of the tape to the other, you do exactly the same thing as you would with a computer. You copy and paste, which means or you cut and paste, which means you take it out of that place, find the new spot you want to drop it in, and drop it in there. And so you can do some very delicate editing on it. I'm not quite sure how much computer disk space it takes up. Rather a lot, I suspect, but I may get around to that next year if the desire for experimentation stays with me. But who knows? Who knows? Nothing much else, I don't think, honestly. I'm sending this in not in a wallet. You sent the things back to me in a wallet, fine. I'm still conscious a bit of the thing, as we always were, that there's personal chatter on this one, so I'll send this by mail, and I'll send you your wallet back at some time empty. That's probably the best bet. Or I'll send it back to you in a wallet if I haven't got time to do a chat, and I'm just sending you the magazine back. Then you get the wallet back. And of course it's a big wallet, so you can send several back at a time if you want to. There we go. Nothing much happening this end that's very spectacular, really. It's been a fairly quiet month. In between sunshine and rain and muck and bullets, it's pouring with rain at the moment. And a couple of days ago it was balmy and sunny. You just don't know what the hell you're doing. I seem to spend more and more time down the studio. I was down there all day yesterday because I was copying off the magazine that I've got in with this, and in the morning I was training a new recorder. That's quite fun. I quite enjoy doing that, because the way I always do it is to teach him the controls and then simulate a short recording session with music in, 2 microphones going and music out, and the 2 microphones going are me hopping from chair to chair like a blue-ass fly while he learns how to handle the mixer. It's quite good fun, as long as you don't catch a hit on the corner of the table or something silly like that. Well, and the other thing I've been doing quite a few. Well, I've just started on a series of talks to various people. I did one to one of the local Probus clubs, and fortunately it tied up with it being a nice day, and they turned out in force, because normally if you give a talk to Probus they pass the hat round, and got 50 quid out of that, which I thought wasn't bad. And somebody else coming up and saying, would you give a talk to the Retired Civil Service Association next month? And then Hailsham Rotary rang up and said they'd had a golf night, or a golf day, charity golf day, and they decided that they'd give the proceeds to us, because I think it was either the chairman or the secretary's next door neighbour gets our tapes and swears by them. And would I go down and give him a talk while he presents a cheque for 1,000 quid, which was utterly phenomenal and totally out of the blue, We're going through one of our usual volunteer crises. It always seems to happen. We always find that we lose one skill at a time. One time you'll say, we've run out of readers, and that's pretty rare, because there's always a queue for reading. But we're currently going through a shortage of copiers. We seem to have lost about 4 or 5 for various reasons in the course of the last 2 or 3 months. But that leaves a large hole in the schedule. So we're rushing about trying to find people who'll do copying at the moment. Got a couple of prospects, but it rather looks as if the old stagers will be rallying round once again till we get that sorted out. Can't remember whether I told you last time again, but you may remember we had Pat talking about victim support, working for victim support, and we had an immense amount of trouble with that because the way that I tend to do it, we get an interview in the studio in a hurry during the day. I sort of set the recorder going in the booth and having checked a level for the interviewee, and then come out and let the thing run on while we do the interview. And she was all keyed up over this interview. You know, she does all the poetry stuff and all the rest of it, but she was very, very tense about this particular interview, and she did it, and she went rattling through about 9 million to the dozen, on and on and on at a hell of a rate. And I got back to check it out and found I was still on pause. Now this did not go down well, and I've still got the tape that we did it all on. I'll play a bit of it, but where we got to was, first of all, having failed to record successfully, then the next problem was that she lost all confidence completely. She'd got it all out of her system, and she just went totally blank. She fortunately did have a couple of sheets of stuff to read, and in the end we got going on sort of take 3 or 4, I can't remember which, by getting her started by reading a little bit about the aims and freeing herself up from that. But it was quite an effort, and I've still got the tape, the whole tape that we recorded it on, and so I thought it might amuse you to listen to the bits and pieces that didn't go out on the tape. We're going to start it at the point where she discovered that I hadn't recorded what she wanted, what we'd just done, and that we'd have to do it again. I was still sitting at the recording desk and wanting to get a level to start it all over again. Say something.
Bother blow bugger.
That's reasonable. Let's try again, shall we?
Oh, it's getting worse. I can't think now.
Yes, you can. 3, 2, 1. Normally when you hear the voice of Patrine, it's either doing a bit of news reading or chuckling her way through her poetry spot on this magazine. But we've got her here today with a quite different hat on, because Pat is very much involved with victim support. And Pat, what basically is victim support?
Well, it's a charitable trust set up to help all victims of crime if they so require. And it's a group of volunteers, fully trained, as I say, to give whatever help.
That's what you said when you answered that question first time just now. So
right, so I want to say something different, don't I? Well, you needn't say your bit, need you? Because your bit's on there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So whenever you're ready, I'll do a quick 3, 2, 1. Now, what do you want? What your initial thing was that it was an organisation, and what you said last time, if I remember rightly, was essentially an organisation to help people regardless of what the crime was. And then you went a little bit and sort of went into the little areas of crime. You said whether it's physical assault or burglary or whatever it is.
Go on then.
3, 2, 1.
Well, Victim Support is a group of fully trained volunteers giving a confidential service to all victims of crime, whether it be violence or burglary or rape, whatever. We are here to help the victim. And it is a nationally set up, as I said, charitable trust.
No, I'll start again.
You better start to make sure the tape's running, because I'm never going to get it. I'm never going to get it now, because my head's full of everything.
Yes, you are. You'll be all right.
Is that tape long enough?
Yes. I mean, essentially, if you like, if in fact you're feeling a bit nervous now, then I'll just stop it for a minute. Right, we're running.
Well, I'm going to say this to start me off.
Yeah, okay. Just could you talk just for a second quietly as you were talking into the microphone just now? Rather, not to me here, but as you were talking just now, so I can get level.
Okay. This leaflet gives information and advice.
Lovely.
I'm never going to be able to do it twice.
Only wanted to do it once.
I did it once. Inept bugger.
Pat, what exactly is victim support?
Well, to start with, I'll just read this little bit out for you because it sets it out quite clearly. And
after that she was all right, but there was a tiny little sting in the tail because I had to very carefully edit the complete end of the interview like this. And you're doing a wonderful job as usual. And
he's at it again, isn't he? Blowing my trumpet for me.
Thanks again, Pat.
My pleasure, Derek. My pleasure. Now that's going to be total crap.
But of course it wasn't. And it was a good interview. In fact, she's away, I think it is this week, on some quite heavy course on being able to provide support for families of murder victims, which is, she says, the sort of the most traumatic part of the whole thing, and something an awful lot of the volunteers don't want to handle, but Pat, she'll have a go at anything. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It's very rare that if one's ever got, on a piece of archive, something that happens like that. I keep on holding it over her head as blackmail, because I gave her a copy of the whole thing too. And apparently her husband saying, "You shouldn't swear like that." She did have to point out it wasn't actually likely to go out on the tape, but she was still insisted. Immediately we'd put out the magazine on getting a copy just in case I'd done something dirty on her. Well, I've just done a restart, but only really to say virtually haven't got much else to tell you. It's such a quiet and peaceful sort of time, and no wonderful events occurring, apart from our putting labels on all our wallets, and putting out an instruction to stick the return label on the inside. That came largely out of Tanulk conference, because with the increased use of centrifuges by the main post offices, there's an awful lot of labels falling out of wallets all over the country. We haven't had too much of that trouble, but we might as well nip it in the bud before it goes wrong. Anyway, that's about all. I sincerely hope things go well for you, mate. And this is about all there is on the tape. All that follows is a hideous hiss, largely because I cleaned this tape off on a little tiny and totally inefficient home little degausser I found in the studio, one of these little tiny block ones, but it doesn't do the job very well. But on the other hand, it doesn't have to, does it? So, till next month, mate, look after yourself. Bye for now. Cheers.